Hey friends, welcome back to Peculiar Potions. With enough patience, we do technically now have infinite furnace fuel with the self-kelp machine. And while we do have a lot of dried kelp built up now, it requires a lot of waiting for it to build up, and manually filling it with fuel every once in a while. Another resource that we haven't yet established a farm for is bamboo, which is a useful crafting material for scaffolding. So today, let's establish the bamboo farm to secure that resource and burn off any excess to make even more dried kelp fuel. Alright, so last week we had just finished building the inn, and it is, a quite quaint little place that can be quite pleasant to stay in. As you can see, a lot of the vines have grown in since before, so it's got a lot more life covering it now. And the sweet berries are there, or wild berries, or whatever they're called over here. Now, in previous sessions, back when we were doing the kelp farm here in the first place, I was planning out dimensions for a potential bamboo farm here. And at first, I wasn't 100% certain if that was something that I wanted to do here. I just figured I'd put down the dimensions like, it might work here. I'm not 100% certain. But we got the kelp farm in a state that it technically doesn't need the bamboo. We can make do without it. Like, it's almost ready for another batch of a stack of dried kelp in the back to make even more, dried kelp. It's almost at that point. Yeah, this is a lot of dried kelp blocks. There have been a lot of sessions where I've just been, leaving this overnight and then, putting a stack of dried kelp blocks, which will smelt up to here when you count what's currently in the smoker and the hopper over here. So, it's been doing some good work here. But this needs to be left on its own for quite decent lengths of time in order to build up insane amounts of dried kelp like that. And I need to be the one manually putting in fuel from time to time because, each of these will smelt like 20 items is the thing. And this is not making like 20 items in a harvest. So I want to wait until I can make sure that I'm gonna get, all my bang for my buck when it comes to smelting that. I was wondering why there was a dirt block there, but that's just because of the kelp there. So if we could have, I opened up this not too long ago. I opened up this. If we can have like another source of fuel, such as bamboo cycling into here, that would be pretty handy. One of my concerns is that it might not be harvesting bamboo fast enough to get through all this because it takes 4 items of bamboo to smelt one thing of kelp. To smelt one item. It doesn't necessarily have to be one thing of kelp. Just smelt one item. You know what I mean here. And smoker smelts things pretty fast, so, needing 4 things to do one full arrow to the right, and that being double speed with the smoker. I'm concerned that no matter how I make the bamboo farm, it might not be able to, be sending bamboo here fast enough for it to be smelted. Because assuming it sends down like a couple at a time through a hopper or something like that, then it'll burn it to like there, it'll get that arrow like, well, not to here, to like here, the arrow halfway, this has nothing to do with that. It'll burn to like here if a couple pieces go in, and then it'll cancel because there's no bamboo, and then another couple pieces come in, and then it goes to like there, and then it stops. That's a concern of mine. So, what I might just do is I recently found out that you can actually decide whether a hopper is going to let things through it or not by passing it a redstone signal. If you pass a redstone signal to it, it's not going to pass items. So I'm thinking that maybe I should start building up a buffer of bamboo somewhere back here. Somehow I'm going to have to connect like the maintenance tunnel of this farm with a potential bamboo farm here and have like a bunch of bamboo and like chests around here or something like that. And have some sort of a lever that goes to hoppers that lead to here, or something like that. Something along those lines, so that I can build up a great amount of bamboo, and then whenever, a lot of bamboo is built up, and it's like, let's burn off some of the excess, I can just flick a lever, and then it'll start burning off some of the excess and making some more dried kelp down here. That's the plan. Now, just like the kelp farm here, it'll have, I believe it'll have, like, a nice kind of looking side and one less nice looking side. I mean, there's planned to be observers on both sides for it, but I would like to have the nice side looking out here because just in case I build this up higher, the bamboo farm is going to be similar where you can just keep on stacking it up higher and higher. Then like the not so good looking side can be on like the inside in the little maintenance channel, and the better looking side can be on the outside. And then this space over here, if it is evil snow. I'd have to get rid of the evil snow. This space could become something else pretty cool out here. This is like relatively flat-ish space that actually gives us a lot to work with. I just haven't really considered it up to this point because it's filled with evil snow. But the evil snow shouldn't be too hard to get rid of. So, that is the plan. That is the plan. I am going to make the bamboo farm here after all. Because, even if it's not too important for the infinite fuel situation, even though infinite fuel is sorted out without it. This is going to make it better, and if I could make a bamboo farm anywhere in this hideaway, for what reason would I put it anywhere but here, where it can just, you know, burn any excess there anyway, because it's probably going to produce more than I'm ever going to need anyway. That is the plan. That is the plan there. I have done like a few miscellaneous things since the last time, like I added some posts over here and actually made this into a proper path. So that's pretty nice now. Eventually, once we start expanding this way, I wouldn't mind making a path through here. Something like that, and maybe connect around this way. Mayhap something like that. And it also occurred to me as I was doing some stuff over here. First of all, I put the things I was doing over here was building a roof over here, first and foremost. Because I noticed that the edges of the pumpkins and the melons could not grow because there was snow over them. And as I mentioned during the kelp farm build, how you get snow to not be here is you just build a little bit of a roof, essentially. So that's what I did. I worried that I bashed one of my crops for a hot second there. So I played into the dark oak that we have a bazillion of, and I built this into the side here to make a little bit of a roof so that all these can grow without any problems. As I mentioned when we were building the inn last time, I think eventually I might like to set up auto farms for pumpkins and melons, and then take off the first couple layers here, and then just have beetroot, carrots, and potatoes for like these 3 layers here. Mayhap something like that, and then this can be like overlooking a little bit more of a lake. Also, you might notice that there is now a 3rd banner in there as well. I got attacked again. So that happened there. And while I was working on this roof, it also occurred to me that, you know, there's a lot of baddies in here and I was hearing a lot of bad sounds. So I went around lighting things up and I went on a little bit of a journey. I did get blown up by a creeper once, if you're wondering why a level went from like 30 something to 15 some now. Yeah, I got blown up by a creeper in there. I was attacking one, and then another one, like, freaking Assassin's Creed air assassinated me. So that was a thing that happened. That was a thing that happened off camera. But while I was going around and venturing around the caves, lighting things up to make it so that there aren't as many monsters, like, spawning in caves around here, I wound up getting to a very, very interesting cave system like that away. It's, like, right between my place and Carbia's place. It's this massive underground cave system that's also exposed to the surface above, like you can see the surface above, and there's this kind of tucked away section right next to a lake that's like half underground, half on the surface, and it got me thinking, what if I want the village over there? So let me just yoink these real quick. Yoink. There we go. Jeez. So it got me thinking, there is that underground world that I discovered that one time that I was strimming. That's pretty cool, but it's like way over yonder way, and it's freaking way underground in like the basalt area or whatever the black stone is, whatever the heck. And it's past another mountain, so it's a decent ways away. This other spot over there is closer. It is a decent bit closer. You know, before we start the build, you know, I'm actually going to venture out there. I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. I'm just going to sleep here really quickly first, because that's not a half bad idea. Yeah, so the farther one is like really cool, and it would be even more hidden away than the option over this away. And by being deep underground there and the deep underground open space there, it would probably be a lot easier to set up a slime farm in like the far underground world over that away, most likely. Just... Huh? What? Ah! Why didn't I bring my leather boots? Oh my good gracious, this is really bad. Ah! 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 Please, 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 good sir, please, please. Oh my good gracious, this is really, really, really bad. Oh my goodness, all because I wanted to show something cool. Oh my goodness gracious. I am thoroughly sketched out. Slowness, huh? All because I wanted to show something cool, like right over here. In fact, I think it's like right there. It's like really close. The other one would be even more hidden away and offer the opportunity for even cooler underground thingamabobs deep below the earth, like a cool slime farm or something like that. Am I still slow? No, I should be better speed now. There's Endermen around here that are like putting gravel blocks around. I watched back the freaking tree farm time lapse and I noticed there was an Enderman with a gravel block around during that. If you look closely during one particular shot. Anyway, that one would offer like better underground opportunities like slime farms and be even more hidden away. But the one, I hear an Enderman right now, but the one over here is a lot closer and it looks pretty darn cool as well if I can actually find it. Because I found it underground from that, you know, that door before. What was the thing? Here it is. Here it is. So I got it decently lit. I did get it decently lit. This is like a side of it. So somehow the door over there led me all the way over here. I do not have a water bucket on me right now, do I? I'm pretty sure there's another entrance. That's not the main entrance. I think it's, yeah, it's over here. It's over here is what it is. So this looks like a perfectly normal kind of river, ravine-ish kind of area. But then when you come down here, you'll notice that it's a whole hidden away cave system thingamabob. So I literally got through as many torches as I had on hand at the time, and I ran out was the thing. But I lit it up a decent bit. That would still need lighting up if I developed stuff in here. Again, I ran out of torches, so not much I could do there. But down there is where I initially waltzed in from another area. Oh, there's a creeper over there. So, you know, the underground world that-a-way would take making it safe from, like, keeping the villagers safe from the lava if I developed it there. And this one would just take, like, a lot of lighting up, essentially. But this could be kind of cool because there's a decent bit of, like, flat space here. This could be, like, a quaint little hidden away village. And it is hidden away. This is all completely under the ground there. But all it takes is you to waltz out this way, and there's, like, the open world. And you can see out that way. You can see out this way. And this is really close to home. Like, I just ran there in no time at all. Ran here in no time at all. And you can see, like, right out there. It's cool. This is floating, and that should probably be attached so it looks a little bit more natural. This is cool. So now I'm in debate, because there's pros and cons of both of them. Like, this would be a lot more convenient, and it looks pretty cool being exposed to, like, the outside like that. But the other one would offer better, like, underground opportunities and be more hidden away. This one, you know, it's not quite as hidden away, but maybe that's a cool thing because of the outside world there. But it being right attached to this lake that's, like, partway underground and partway on the surface, it's cool. So I want to do this underground village project in, like, the near-ish future here. But now I'm in debate about where I want to have it. Because, yeah, looking around here, you wouldn't be able to tell that there is a secret village down here, something like that. Could make, like, a railway under the ground that leads to here or something like that. Which is the same thing I'd do for the other one if we built it there. So, can I really not... Is there really not a thing to climb up this? Whatever. I didn't want to climb up that anyway. So anyway, yeah, it's, I'm in debate now. So, whenever that project starts, I'll have come to a decision by then. But this is my current predicament. But this seems like a really cool place to be building something. I'm very much intrigued. That's not the project for today, but I just wanted to share it with you here because I thought it was cool. As for the actual project today, though, this one's gonna be close to home. And if we do get this set up and have, you know, a whole nother facility, a whole nother hideaway out that way, then it'd be cool to have, like, this online and have, you know, a great many stacks of dried kelp to send out to that for smelting purposes. We'll have exports to that. It will be great. And we can also export things that can be sold to the villagers. I could also have, like, villagers right in here, but I don't really want, like, the generic NPC villagers around here with their stuff like that. At the very beginning of this series, well, not at the very beginning, but close to the beginning, I was thinking about putting villagers in, like, the nearby mountains as well, alternatively. Like, right over there, that'd be really close to home. But that's so cool. I really want to play into, like, the cool new caves and cliffs stuff. So, this is gonna be a decent bit of an ambitious build. I think that's similar to the kelp here. I'm gonna make it too high, but I might just have, like, the bottom layer be, you know, the ground level, essentially, rather than digging down into the earth like I did with this and initially messing up my dimensions and all that fun stuff there. So, I amassed my materials here. I decided I needed to make a lot of observers. I think this is the amount I need. I think 68 is the amount that I need with those dimensions. So yeah, going to need hoppers, some chests, dirt, glass. I want to use acacia logs in this one because it's cool. And, you know, use some spruce trapdoors to spruce things up. Glowstone would be the best, but we're going to have to make do with jack-o'-lanterns for now. I can always change it out to glowstone later. I just have some resources here on the side just in case, you know, I need to make more stuff. This is as much nether quartz as I have left. After making the rest of the observers, I had like 30 some lying around, a little bit less than 30 left. This is how much nether quartz I have left. So I'm running out. So I might have to see about that nether situation whenever I want to make another auto farm. I mean, I can make like 34 or something like that. And then, yeah, a bunch of these thingamabobs, a couple droppers. I initially made a dropper when I was trying to figure out what to do for that. Droppers are new since the last time I played this video game, but we're going to be trying them out. Some building materials. I don't know if I'm going to use these or any of this stuff, but I figured I'd bring it just in case. Because I had it lying around, so may as well. May as well give it a shot. So yeah, that's my plan. This build is going to be similar to this one here. It is going to be playing off of a design online, which thank goodness for the interwebs and whatnot, so it'll be credited in the description down below. So it'll once again be like my own variation on that. I feel like the kelp farm is a lot more different compared to the original than the bamboo farm is probably gonna be, but I wanted something like really efficient and something that I can also kind of play into looking cool looking. So it's gonna have to be like 4 wide like this. This will be the actual thingamabob. And then this is just markers for like logs I can put around the outside for aesthetic purposes. Which, I wonder if I can actually pull this one in that case. Can I do that? I should probably have it out here just to be safe, because I think this outside layer here of like logs for aesthetic purposes, I think this is also where like the redstone would go for the observers and whatnot. So even though presently I don't think it would interfere with these, if I did stack both these up higher and higher in the future, there is a chance that they collide with each other somewhere down the line. So it probably is best to be its current dimensions, most likely, is probably the best bet. I was like, this isn't evil snow, is it? Okay, it's just dirt. This is evil. No, that's not evil snow. I'm so sketched out. I'm so sketched out of the snow. Is this evil snow? And yeah, this is a good place to build things later, assuming we get rid of all the evil snow. Oh my goodness gracious, there was a little bit of evil snow there. Also, earlier I saw a zombie spawn like over here, so bam. That's probably where that baby zombie spawned that one time as well. There we go, fixed. Anyway, yeah, I think it's about time to get this new project underway after I rest to make it day. That rhymed unintentionally. No! Gosh darn it! Alright, finally at the point of working towards efficient infinite furnace fuel. Now, to make space for the bamboo farm here, I first wanted to dig this down a little bit. I want to do a similar style to the kelp farm where the first layer is actually underground, and then it's really the second layer on top that you see above ground. So it won't tower up too terribly high, but still have some pretty decent height to it, especially considering that this contraption would need a decent bit more height per level than the kelp farm would. So I had to do a lot of digging through this area. I did make sure to keep my diamond pickaxe along with fortune, just in case I needed to mine anything here along the way, like coal or iron, and I definitely ran into a decent bit of that. Now, just like the kelp farm, I probably should have plotted this out in creative mode first to get an idea of how this was going to work, but I didn't. I was silly. I just went for it. And just like with the sugarcane farm, I made the initial mistake of thinking that I could have hoppers underneath a block and that would be good enough. But no, you need to have the hopper actually on the rail for those to be able to pick up the items. So I tinkered around with some ideas here, but I eventually decided that the ground level here is what should have the first layer. It shouldn't be that elevated. I don't want to have like this weird archway above when I have this be like a little bit of a tunnel through. So instead my bottom level will be here. And then I'll build the first layer of bamboo on top of this. I decided that the base level was going to be dark oak, so it looked like this really sturdy type of wood was supporting it right at the base, but higher up I would go for the acacia log, so it looked a little bit more exotic. So I had to edit a little bit of my kelp farm there. So then I started putting down the dirt and putting down some bamboo to get an idea of what exactly this was going to look like. Now, I've never really used stripped logs in Minecraft before, since they were a new addition since the last time that I had really played this game. So I decided to use some stripped logs in this build, see how I could figure out how to incorporate this weird orange stripped log here. So I started plotting out my dimensions here by putting down the pistons and then the observers. I did want to have glass on either side as well, so that you'd be able to look in and see what was going on here in the farm. And that's when I realized that this was a little bit too close. I needed to move everything one space over, or else the redstone would connect between the bamboo farm and the kelp farm, which technically wouldn't be the end of the world. It just means that when one gets harvested, it'll harvest the other one a little bit early as well. So it's not like that's an absolute deal breaker for how this is gonna work, but that's not what I want to be going for here. I want these to be separate farms that work together, not be activating one another at times that they shouldn't be activating. So I had to move everything one tile over. So it was a good thing I realized that now and not much later in the build. And decided that I would go for this glass dome kind of look over this maintenance tunnel. So I replaced the stone bricks at the back with glass. So I got my dimensions plotted out. I put some acacia logs on the opposite corners. I figured I would do stone bricks on the opposite ends, but for the long sides I would use the log design. I would plot things out with wood to figure out exactly what my dimensions were going to be here. And of course I ran out of logs. I had a decent few logs going into this project, but this is a project that was going to take a lot of logs. And as is the rule with any time I build anything here, a wandering trader needs to come through and say hi. Didn't have anything interesting, and luckily this trader didn't interfere with the build, it just kind of hung out, so thank goodness for that. So with my dimensions plotted out, I came back down for some finer details. I elected for a trapdoor design down below, so it looks like it's a solid wall, but you can right-click it and see in there in case you need to interact with it. Now, the bottom level was going to be feeding directly into the smokers down below, but this upper level was a little bit trickier. I would need to use a dropper setup for this to essentially drop it down to the layer below. Now, ideally for a build like this, to keep the bamboo actually lit, you might want to be using something like glowstone. But because I used the only glowstone that I have on the roof of the cozy cabin, I didn't exactly have any extra glowstone to go around. So instead, I elected for a design with jack-o'-lanterns, so that's why you could notice the jack-o'-lanterns there earlier. Now, I wasn't exactly sure how this was going to work, having both bamboo farms that were stacked on top of each other, leading into the smokers. So at first, I elected for this design where they both led into a chest, and then there were two hoppers that came out of that chest and led into either direction, either smoker. But it turned out this wouldn't really work, they would just go one way, so this would be a design that would later be changed, but it's what I had for now, hoping that it would work, as I later found out it didn't. So I would pretty this up a little bit with some stone bricks, didn't just want it to look like a random hole, I wanted it to look like a proper underground facility, not just a hole that does a thing. So went around with a bunch of stone bricks and stone brick stairs, using dark oak at this bottom layer of the bamboo farm where I could. And I decided to use dark oak for the flooring down here as well to play into that overall design. I wanted this to be a little bit of a checkpoint of sorts, so I'd have a crafting table, a couple furnaces, and a couple double chests. Now, by creating this upper area over here, it would allow me access to the hoppers that the dropper leads into. So in case I ever need to check those in case anything goes wrong, I could always access that. I'd also have a little bit of a sneak peek at the dropper in case I need to. As you can see, I would use a lot of dirt as temporary blocks to get where I needed to as I was tinkering around here. So I would finish up with this bottom layer, get that all set up. Now I had a bit of difficulty actually getting the minecart going. I kind of hoped I could just place it down and it would be going. That wasn't the case. I needed to give it a little bit of a push, it seemed. But once I got that figured out, now the minecart was just going until the end of time. Now, as I'm tinkering around with this corner here, you might notice that there's a door there and you might wonder where it leads towards. It leads into a cave that's right next door. So I did explore a little bit of it just to put down some torches and make sure that there weren't any monsters spawning around there, but it's not fully lit yet. So at some point in the future, I'll probably go around and properly light up the whole thing. Now for the proper entrance, I want dark oak as well. Now with the interior mostly done, I was able to come outside here and finish off the exterior. Once again, electing for a mix of the acacia stairs, the spruce trapdoors, and the glass. And I decided to fill in the sides with a decent bit of glass as well, so you could actually see what's going on inside. I had to do a decent bit of tinkering around on the inside here to make sure that this was properly working. And eventually I just decided, since I have two bamboo farms, one stacked on top of each other, both making essentially equal amounts of bamboo, I would have the bottom layer, level 1, leading into the smoker on the left, and the top layer, level 2, leading into the smoker onto the right. And I also figured I would create some maintenance tunnels along the way, just to make some of these areas a bit easier to access in case I ever needed to in the future. Help future-proof this a lot more.
So this would actually make the third entrance into this facility, being the maintenance tunnel alongside, with the other entrances being the main entrance right alongside the dropper there, and of course the ladder leading into the kelp farm, which was our initial entrance into this facility. So I just fixed up my maintenance tunnels a little bit, pretty them up slightly. And then I would finish off the roof here. I put down 2 crafting tables just to free up some inventory space. Once again, electing for that jack-o'-lantern design and the acacia planks at the top. I'd finish off the sides with some stone bricks and glass. By the end of this project, I was pretty much out of glass, so I am going to need to return to that place that I found a lot of sand that one time in order to restock again. At first, I wanted to connect these facilities at the top in some way, but I couldn't really find a way that looked decent, so I just elected for nah. These are just going to be 2 towers alongside each other, and just connected in the middle with the glass dome. Now, while I was working in this area, I thought it might not be a bad idea to dig up some of the evil snow and replace it with dirt, since this is actually a nice open area that I might consider building something in the near future here. Now that the bamboo farm is built, if I want to expand into this area, I'm going to have to go back there. And I don't want to go back there if it's covered in evil snow. So this isn't important for this build, it's more so just future-proofing it for future builds. And while I was working in this area, I may as well finally make a staircase up to the tree farm proper. And so I'd finally have easy access around all these facilities. I'd make sure that they were properly lit with some dark oak lampposts. And then I'd add some vines that I got from my jungle trees to the infinite fuel facility here. Make it look a little bit more old and like some things are growing on it. And I figured while I was at it, I may as well add it to the cactus farm and the sugarcane farm as well. And with that, the infinite fuel facility was finally complete. It was technically an infinite fuel facility before, but not very efficient, and it needed a lot of manual intervention to keep it going. But now we can see all the machinery here working overtime, chopping down some bamboo, which leads into smokers to make dried kelp forests, which makes even more efficient furnace fuel. The minecarts here being very set in their tasks of gathering us resources. And with that, the facility was complete.
Alright, well, it is now the following day. I should have put pressure plates here like way earlier. I just thought of it within the last 24 hours for whatever reason. I left this overnight, and as you can see, the vines have grown in spectacularly. It does look maybe slightly out of place over in the wintry area, but that's fine. That's a-okay. There's a little bit reaching up onto the glass here. Yeah, I kind of like the way that this whole facility turned out. And while we have, like, several little facilities, like, you know, the cactus or the sugarcane over here, like, small little buildings that achieve some purpose, this is the first, like, full facility that has been made that I've probably ever made in Minecraft, honestly. Because, you know, there weren't things like observers back when I was playing this video game back in the day. There was nothing like that. So I've made dedicated facilities in heavily modded Minecraft before. Also, I can't put pressure plates here because the stairs are in the way and I wouldn't want to, like, you know, do that. Wouldn't want to do that there. This is literally my first time ever making like a whole dedicated facility building like this within just normal vanilla Minecraft, and it feels pretty cool looking around this and being like, whoa, this is a whole dedicated crazy facility. So since before, I've made a few little changes here, as you saw at like a round view at the end of the time lapse there. One of the problems that I encountered after leaving this overnight is I found out the lever could not be here. Reason for that is, you know, when a redstone signal is being passed to a hopper, it's not going to let any items, you know, through it or whatnot, or into it, I guess. And that's the whole idea with, you know, this setup here with the redstone back there and whatnot. Because the lever was right here and I flicked it, it counted as going to this hopper. So it was like, oh, I can't do that. So I, since the time lapse, as of, well, this morning, essentially, I moved the lever over to this side, so now it goes through the wall back there, and I decided to create, like, this little space so that you can see, like, the redstone going through and whatnot. Oh. Maybe not this here, though. Yeah, there we go. Something like that. And I put some glass here as well. Maybe both these should just be glass. I don't have any glass in my inventory right now. That's an idea, though. Maybe. That could be interesting right there. And if this facility is going full swing, I figured it might not be a bad idea to have like another set of chests. So I made some space for some more with this trapdoor setup. So it's just like even ground. until you open it up and get into the storage down below. That was my plan there. So now that the redstone is all set up, this facility has two distinct modes. Up on the lever is fuel mode, and that's when you want like dried kelp to get smelted up and be making a whole bunch of that there. And then when the lever is down, it's in resource mode, which counts as both like amassing, you know, regular kelp and bamboo, which this has been making a decent bit of. Also with a new setup, it's now just this whole left side in terms of bamboo is purely the first level. So this right here, this minecart and this little level right here is purely the stuff going to the left side. It's so satisfying to see this, you know, all together and working like that. So satisfying, I do have to say. Oh yeah, there's the little, you know, little maintenance tunnel thingamabob here as well, in case you want to go out this way. So there's like 3 different entrances into this thing. So here's one of the weird ones, probably the weirdest entrance that there is, but hey. Anyway, so that level is purely what's, you know, filling up this one over here. And then the whole upper level that's getting dropped over here is filling up this. I noticed that there was a problem with the lever after I noticed that this dropper wasn't picking up anything anymore, because after leaving it overnight, all these hoppers filled completely when, you know, it was being stopped here. So, whoops. So, whoopsie-doopsie. Also, when there was just like the beginning levels of bamboo around here, that is so noisy. I'm very tempted to turn that off, or at least turn it down. I'm gonna turn it down in the volume mixer really quickly, holy crap. Because that is really, really annoying. Yeah, there we go. Let's turn it down like that. I'm so sorry. Yeah, so one of the issues that I predicted would be an issue before starting this project was true. The whole issue of if only a couple things of bamboo are coming in here at once, it does smelt up until about here, and then it goes down and it cancels the smelting. That is a true issue. I found out in like the beginning levels of bamboo, like when it had not this much. Also, I filled this with bamboo just to make sure that I do have some on the side, even if I burn all this stuff. Is the idea behind that? But yeah, so if I just, you know, turn it on when there's just a few pieces of bamboo and it just, you know, burns them right immediately away, it's not gonna smelt any kelp. It's just gonna go back and forth until the end of time. But I believe I said back in the episode when we made the kelp farm in the first place that if I ever had like a bamboo farm behind it, it would need to be like much bigger than the kelp farm if I wanted it to, you know, be continuously smelting kelp. And this is way bigger. Like, oh my goodness gracious. And this is way bigger. It is a it's a just as wide facility, but this is making so much more bamboo than it is kelp. You know, evidently. Looking at the chests, evidently it's making a lot more bamboo than it is kelp. And this has been amassing for like some time. This is before I even left it, you know, overnight. It had like a decent amount of it in there, you know. I think during the build, it was close to somewhere up here, and I smelted like a stack of dried kelp to smelt up to there. So like, you know, it's built up a decent bit since then, but nowhere near the same amount of bamboo. So that got me thinking, if there isn't like a massive storage of kelp, if it's just, you know, these are getting burnt the moment that they come in, would this thing be producing bamboo faster than kelp and therefore allow me to keep this lever on at all times? Also, I could showcase that really quickly. So if I flick that, then this is going to start smelting. As you can see, it burns through bamboo really fast, since each bamboo only allows for, you know, 1/4 of something to get burnt. So it kind of burns through a lot of bamboo really quickly. There is the thing. But with this idea in mind, I was thinking, what if I take a couple stacks of my dried kelp blocks and I shove it in the bottom of these here, and I know that a stack of dried kelp will smelt up to here in terms of the chest. So if the dried kelp stack smelts up to here, and then the bamboo purely does this stuff, maybe I should even take out like some smidges of kelp just to, you know, have on the side similar to bamboo, and ensure that once the dried kelp is used up, it'll just be like a little smidges of kelp that are left in there. Maybe I'll do that. So let's go ahead and slap these dried kelp blocks in there. This might be the last time that I need to use dried kelp to smelt kelp. So if I do that, and then I flick this lever to fuel mode, like that, then this is gonna start filling up with bamboo. And the moment the dried kelp blocks are used up, it'll start filling that with bamboo. So if the dried kelp blocks are going to, you know, smelt up to here, then maybe I'll take out this stuff for now. because it can always be handy to have like a decent bit of kelp on the side, similar to bamboo. Like I don't want everything burned. I want to have, you know, some on the side at least. So this is probably not a half bad idea, have something like that. So this is going to be the experiment in that case. We shall see if after this burns through this stuff, if it'll be producing bamboo much faster than kelp, and can always keep like a little bit of a buffer so that we don't have to worry about it canceling a smell, because there will always be like a buffer of bamboo built up. Hopefully that's the plan. So I'm gonna leave this overnight again a second time, and we'll see if this works. Also, there's so many chests here, holy crap. It is insane. Also, we'll see how much dried kelp is in there after leaving it overnight. So currently it's at like this, about like 3 rows there. Yeah, about 3 rows-ish. So after I leave this overnight, we'll see what it's at. All right, well, it is now several days later, actually. I said I was just gonna leave it overnight once, and I did. I left it for 1 night and 1 day. This weekend was a bit busy, was helping out with the Fragapalooza test event and such, so, you know, I wasn't able to get to doing this immediately as soon as I hoped, but I'm here to check in on things after, you know, this place shouldn't have been loaded all that much during those several days, just like that 1 day and night that I had with it on. So it's not like it'll be, you know, several days later in terms of how much progress this is, just several days later in terms of real life time, and I figure I mentioned that. So, to update, yes, this thing is definitely making bamboo a lot faster than kelp, to the point that so yeah, about that. It's not quite fully full yet, but it's getting there. Okay, this one's filling here. So it's only a matter of time until this is completely full and this stops accepting bamboo. I did want the bamboo to be faster than the kelp, but maybe not this fast. So it makes me wonder if I should put like another layer onto the kelp farm over there. I don't have a ton of quartz left. I think I had like 32 nether quartz, so I might just hold on to it in case I want to make like some other auto farms in the nearest future. I don't know if I would, but just in case, maybe I should hold on to it rather than spending it here, because it might be a little while before going back to the nether again. So we shall see. That's update on that. As for how much dried kelp has been made, yeah, so up until this point, I had gotten quite a decent bit of dried kelp. Like, this is all just from the kelp farm, and I've just been using the kelp to destroy the kelp by waiting until it got to like this point, so that there'd be 20 stacks all in all when you count like the 5 in here and the 1 in there, and then slap a thing of dried kelp into the smoker, a whole stack of it, and then it would make like a bunch more. Also, I had to redo some of the dimensions here because it turned out that these weren't working because they were adjacent to a redstone signal there, so the hopper wasn't working and it wasn't letting things go through here, so I needed to like redo the dimensions down there. So that's fixed now. Don't need to worry about that now. But yeah, I've just been using the kelp to smelt the kelp up to this point, so it took a lot of waiting, a lot of patience. Now it's the kind of thing where it's just going at it, and at like a pretty decently fast pace, with like no supervision. So even when it's a, you know, resource mode now is basically just to amass resources of kelp, is basically all it is. Because in its current state, no matter what, this thing is going to be making a butt ton of bamboo. It's the thing. And I did put some kelp aside as well, so like, can just leave this in fuel mode for now. Maybe one day expand the kelp farm up a little bit. We shall see. But yeah, let's see how much fuel we can make here. I probably should have started with the top chest actually, so that'll be a stack there, I know. Okay, yeah, that is a lot of stacks of dried kelp. My goodness gracious, yeah. That is going to last for a long, long time, and it's just continuously producing more. So, you know, as long as I'm logged on here, it's just going to be making, whoops, more and more of this. So, you know, I'd say that this machine, this whole facility is very successful, I must say. It is very successful indeed. And I quite like it. It's pretty noisy, but, you know, it's not too close to the cabin there. So I don't have to worry about the noise. And speaking about the cabin, How about I just take like 5 stacks of dried kelp blocks and just slap them in the fuel chest over there? So if we do wind up doing this villager project in the near future, which I would like to do in the near future, I'm gonna need to like really figure it out in my head how exactly it's gonna work. Also, we may as well check on these while we're here. So we have a double chest full of sugarcane and starting on the next one. As for cactus, yeah, this is gonna be full to the brim very soon. But yeah, once, look at the vines growing. I kind of like the vines. Vines are kind of cool. Oh, I should have added some vines to this. I'm now realizing way too late. Whatever, I'll add some later. I'll add some later is what I'll do. Better late than never, right? I am gonna need to, like, you know, organize these and such. So that's still on the mental to-do list. Yeah, I do like the dropping. It is really satisfying. I think it would be neat to one day add, like, another level and have, like, you know, the multiple levels of bamboo being dropped. But there's literally no point in doing that right now when I'm already producing so much more than I'll ever use. Even with it constantly being used to, like, smelt the, you know, the 4 small kelp farms and whatnot that I guess will eventually be expanded. I'll think about using some of the observers to make another thing. I'll give it some thought, or not some of the observers, some of the nether quartz. But I might just, you know, keep careful care of the ones that I have currently, just in case I want to use that for anything else. Yeah, so we have the whole dedicated facility over there. Look over there, and sometimes you see the redstone going off. It's pretty neato. If we do work on villagers here, I can just take, like, you know, a bunch of dried kelp to that location, and we'll have, you know, furnace fuel sorted. It'll be great. No! Freaking darn you! I should have slept in the thingamabob is what I should have done. Give me a hot second. I should also make, like, a proper fox place. I know it's not on, like, the list there, but I wouldn't mind, like, making a proper fox place somewhere around here. Because as nice and cozy as it is, having the cute little foxes in the room there, you know, it can't be the most content of conditions being, you know, isolated to this room. You know, probably not. So one of these days I might also like to set something around here. We shall see. We shall see what happens there. And while I'm here, I almost forgot. So because it's just like last little smidges of coal that are in here, let's go ahead and dump in the dried kelp blocks. And if ever anything needs to be smelted around here, that'll sort that out, and it'll be great. I was just getting through, like, the last little smidge of coal there, because I figured, like, I'll build up a bit of a buffer first. I think I have a lot of coal. I think that there's more in, like, some of those chests there that I've been mining during some projects and whatnot. Oh, yeah, I added some pressure plates here. I don't remember when I did that, but I realized that that's probably a pretty good idea there. So, make furnace fuel more efficient. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Now that we have a whole dedicated facility there, you can't even see it that well with the sun. Now that we have, like, a whole dedicated building facility over there that's just gonna be running all the time, oh yeah, oh yeah, infinite furnace fuel 2.0. The kelp farm on its own was infinite furnace fuel 1.0, but now this is infinite furnace fuel 2.0. If we added more layers and made it higher and higher, would that be like 4.0? I guess it would be, but there's basically no need to do that at this point, you know? It's very established, so I'm very content with the state that it's in. It's really neato. I think one of the other things I'd like to do in the nearish future maybe is, like, make a path from around here that loops and connects with that. And then I'll figure out what's going in here. Something that I might also do, maybe it's something that I'll do before one of the future sessions, is make a bunch of signs and put down signs where I want to make various projects, just as, like, placeholders to establish those areas as the places where I want to develop certain builds if I think that any area looks particularly good for that kind of thing. So maybe I'll do that. It's just a thought that I've been having. No guarantees there. Yeah, so this is gonna be the next big project to figure out so that we can, you know, really deck out our tools. Villagers. So you could say that this infinite furnace fuel helped out with the villagers because it gives us, like, a good source of furnace fuel to, you know, take in very limited inventory space over to there and have that all sorted out in case I want to smelt things. So yeah, I don't know when we're gonna get to this. I wouldn't mind mapping out some of the world before we do that so we have an idea of, like, what kind of routes to take and such. It's always good to go into things with a plan. And we'll figure things out. It'll be figured out. It'll be a-okay. Also, maybe I should... Yeah, let's just go ahead and add this. I probably want to get through most of the items here before adding more. But this is probably a good one to add as well, just for the sake of that. Sure, can go ahead and do that. Yeah, So bit by bit, we're filling up the hideaway here. Eventually this place will be all kinds of different facilities and buildings all over the place. We're getting there. We are making progress, and it's very satisfying to look at. It's nice. So with that, thanks all who tuned into another episode of Peculiar Potions, and until next time, I'm out of here. Take care, and see ya.